Welcome back. I'm Curtis Smith. Roseanne Tufnell of the Albuquerque Daylily Society is going to tell us some answers to some questions about daylilies, such as what should I look for if I'm buying a daylily plant?
Well, most of the daylilies available for sale will be bare root. Now, sometimes we do have them available in pots, but you want to look for good healthy foliage. You want a nice firm crown. That's this section right in here.
Where the roots and the top meet.
That's where the energy of the plant is actually stored, is in the crown.
Uh-huh.
And you want nice, firm, fleshy roots.
These good ones here.
Yeah, they look like fingers hanging down, and then the little drinking roots develop off of the major root. So these store energy as well, but the main energy is stored in that crown.
Does it matter how many different growths are coming off of the crown?
No.
Sometimes you'll find just a single fan?
Sometimes you find a single fan. You just want to make sure it does have some root structure and a healthy, firm crown, not soft and squishy.
If it's soft and squishy, you may have a problem.
It's been out of the ground too long, and it may be starting some sort of disease process.
Got one here we want to look at. What's wrong with this one?
This is a very unhappy daylily. This one never did thrive once it went in the pot, so it obviously had something going on beforehand. But you can see the foliage just shriveled up and dried up, and we'll pull it out of the ground here. And the crown is nice and soft, and you can see the roots have literally rotted away. And if we look back under here at the crown, we can see that the crown has developed a rot.
So
it's
this
squishy, and it has a little bit of an odor.
Ooh. You don't want to buy that one.
So this one had basically a fungus crown rot.
So, and daylilies are very susceptible to that?
They can be. Now this one probably had it when it was shipped. And sometimes that does happen, and they can look perfectly healthy at the time, but they've been injured, and the fungus is available in the soil. So if it's been injured by an insect bite, or if it's been scarred by a garden tool, or if you pull a dead leaf off too vigorously and leave an open wound, then the fusarium can get into the open lesion, and then it will affect the plant. So you need to be careful when you are cleaning up around your daylilies.
This can happen even if it's in your garden already then?
Oh yes. And another way it can develop is if you plant it too deeply. You want to have this crown right at ground level.
If you set it in too deep, you're just asking for trouble.
If you plant it up in here, then this crown will stay wet all the time and won't get the sun, and it will rot.
Are there any other diseases and insects people need to be aware of?
Well, they can develop a bacterial crown rot, and you'll know if you've got that because it smells really awful. It has a very sulfur smell to it. It's just very nasty. They do have a few pests that bother them, the aphids and the thrips, just like all the other garden plants. On rare occasion, they can be affected by bulb mite, which is a small, tiny hair-like insect that chews up the root system and transmits fusarium to the plant. And a lot of times you'll get those on Dutch iris.
Okay, so these are really tough plants, but there are a few
They are tough plants, and if you plant them in good soil, they need good loose soil with good drainage. They need at least 4 hours of sunlight or filtered light. Prefer about 6, but in New Mexico they'd like a little filtered or protection from the afternoon sun. Mine tend to do better in the areas where they get morning sun and a little afternoon protection from the sun.
Let's ask about this too, because a lot of people will see the seed pods form on their daylilies. This is what they don't want to happen unless they're hybridizing.
Now, if you're hybridizing and trying to make a living at this, or you want to see what you can get with crosses, these are a good thing. This is what the seed pod looks like. Now, if you don't want to have seed pods on your plant, you need to deadhead immediately at the end of the day or that next morning and pull those off, because the plant will then put all its energy into seed formation instead of bloom formation.
And actually, this should have been broken off at the top where the flower was. Now you've taken the whole flower scape.
But it won't put any more flowers up on this particular scape. If it's going to rebloom, it would send up another scape.
So this is the way to do it at this point.
At this point.
But it really should have been done earlier at the top.
Well, these didn't, it's one of the small varieties. The Bitsy, the little small one that was out by the driveway, and it did not get deadheaded as it should have.
Yeah, that happens.
Yes, that happens.
It didn't really hurt the plant, but it's better not to.
It didn't hurt the plant, and I thought, well, these would be a good example to show you what a seed pod on a daylily looks like.
Appreciate you saving it for us and giving us these answers to these questions so that people can grow some really nice daylilies and know that New Mexico is a place for daylilies.
You can grow them. You do have to water them, of course, but
little
just
bit.
like any other plant, they don't like wet feet, so they like to dry out in between waterings. So that's the reason for the good soil, and compost, peat moss, just aerate it and put nutrients in there. Plant it so that the crown is right at ground level, and then feed it early in the spring and several times, and keep them watered, and
They can do it.
they will bloom for you.
Thank you very much, Roseanne.
You're welcome.